Hello fellow classmates, Mr. Redican, and judges. My name is Kyle Purvis, and along with my partner Tim Schwall, I will be debating the negative side to tell you why the United States federal government should not increase its investment in infrastructure. Have you or a loved one ever gotten injured seriously due to faulty infrastructure? Chances are, no, you have not. Recent research conducted by my partner and I showed that just over 50 bridges have collapsed in the United States in the last 150 years combined. It has come to our attention that during these years, many of the bridges were made out of not concrete nor metal, but wood. Note that bridges are no longer being made out of wood these days, and if there are bridges made out of wood, that they are being used and maintained properly. Along with that, the media has a big part in how we think about topics. Whether it's in sports or local news, the media can manipulate how we interpret the real facts. The same can be said about the way media looks at infrastructure failures. They point out the bad facts and fail to mention why the structures fail or collapse. For example, the I-35 West Bridge in Minneapolis, mentioned by the affirmative, collapsed because it was being repaired. The engineers were trying to fix what was wrong with it and brought in many vehicles for renovations and mending equipment, which, increased the weight that was put on the bridge. This caused an excess amount of weight, and along with the already traffic-heavy roads of Minneapolis, it caused the bridge to collapse. Will repairing our bridges help, or will it just bring them to their imminent doom? Also, it can be said that bridges are primarily used to cross bodies of water, whether that be a river, lake, or bay. This is true, right? Right. Thank you. Now, with this same research, we determined that many of the fatal bridge collapses were due to barges or boats running into the bridges or a bridge support, causing the structure to collapse into the water below. Was that an engineer's fault, or was it the fault of the captain of the boat? California, October 1989. The Cypress Street Viaduct has just collapsed. But this wasn't due to a poor infrastructure. Oh no. It was because of the Loma Prieta earthquake. 42 people were killed because a completely safe bridge collapsed during an earthquake. An earthquake, not poor infrastructure. There are many other stories about natural disasters destroying bridges and supports, though they all have the same basic principle. Bridges are safe. However, natural disasters are not. My other point deals with the current financial situation of the nation. Everybody in this room knows that we as a country are trillions of dollars in debt. This is because much of our money gets put to use on projects without ever returning to our pockets. One of these projects is the reconstruction of our roads and bridges. According to USAtoday.com, the United States government is in preparation of enacting a 5-year plan that will cost more than $1 trillion for current infrastructure projects. That's $1 trillion that will be added to our already enormous debt, which, by the way, is currently at $16 trillion and on the rise. There are more things that the general public will say need funding, such as health care and education. It is doubtful that they will say the funding should go towards infrastructure. During the presidential debates in October between Mitt Romney and President Barack Obama, infrastructure was brought up not 3, not 2, not 1, but 0 times in all 4 debates. Due to this lack of attention infrastructure is receiving, it is clear that the federal government does not see it as anything close to a priority in our country. The New Oxford American Dictionary defines substantially as to a great or significant extent. Now, let me pull up a graph for you. This graph shows the way our country spends its money. We are already spending 3%, right here, this little, 3% of our budget to transportation across the nation. 3% of our great budget is a mere $106 billion. If we were to substantially increase that, our national debt would go through the roof. Give this a thought. Say I'm driving 100 miles per hour down Susquehanna Road to get to school on time, and suddenly I swerve into the left lane, and I get into a collision with an oncoming Toyota Camry. It was a head-on collision, and I go to the hospital with many bone fractures, and the other driver is in critical condition. Now, is this the fault of our infrastructure? Now, is this the fault of our infrastructure, Or was it my fault, being the motorist driving at a reckless speed in the opposite lane? Many of the accidents caused by infrastructure are not caused by infrastructure, but by neglectful driving and not being aware. How can we say that we need to increase investment in our roadway when our licensed drivers are the ones causing most of the problems? In conclusion, the United States federal government does not need to increase its investment in infrastructure because it is a waste of money and is not necessary to begin with. Thank you all. Have a lovely day. And remember, a vote for negative is a vote for righteousness.